I could call the meeting to order, on Monday, January 27th, 2025, 4 p.m. for a special select board meeting. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. So the first order of business is the cemetery and park request for bidding for the cemetery and the parks. So Morgan, you have two options here.
Yeah, let's start with the parks. I really didn't change much on those. So I changed the due date to be March 3rd. So bids would be due at 3 o'clock that day, and we would open them at that meeting that evening. Yeah, I really didn't touch anything on this, I just added a dollar sign in the town hall. Does anyone have questions about this one?
I think that's a good idea, lump sum.
The lump sum at the bottom.
Yeah, what do you care how much each cemetery costs, or how many times they mow?
Well, for the parks, in the budget sheet, on the expenditures, it's broken out into each park.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why we did it for this one. So if we're good with the 2020 park here, then we can move forward with a motion to advertise that one.
As long as they keep that scope of the work, I don't see a reason for doing anything newer.
Could I ask a question? There was some conversation last meeting, and I think it was around the cemeteries, not necessarily the parks, but it may apply as well. With the as needed, not less, as needed, grass should be kept at a certain height or something like that. Now, then there's talk about some parks. That's not a big issue. Others, I'm asking, is it an issue? I'm not the perfect person to answer the question. So in all cases, the lawn mowing and the trimming, I sensed that there was a concern that sometimes it gets kind of long. And it doesn't get done as regularly as it should.
Well, I think, but doesn't this Hopewell Cemetery shall be mowed and trimmed weekly?
I was talking about the parks bid.
Oh, the parks bid.
So if the parks bid, should it say the same kinds of things as the cemetery? Or do you think that issue is
I
not
don't
as
think
big?
there's ever been an issue with the
No, I
parks.
don't.
Okay, that's just want to clarify.
I mean,
have an
I've
issue
never
with
heard
parks
anything
either.
about the parks, they usually
But
do it.
the
that's it.
issue, there
With
was
the
some kind of
cemetery.
issue. Thank you, that's what I was
With the
trying to
cemetery.
clarify. If we don't need it, fine.
And then the cemetery that requires the most mowing is Hopewell.
Right, I just want to make sure that the parks,
Yeah, I mean,
We're covered.
if we had an issue, I'm not aware of it. As far as the park.
people were talking last week, but I guess it was just about the
Cemetery,
cemeteries.
Okay, so we're good on the parks. Everyone's happy with the scope of
You
work?
need that separated as far as.
Yeah.
You can't separate it in the balance
Two
sheet.
separate ones.
I guess my only comment on all the bids is that if they're gonna cut the lawns on each of these, that who's ever cutting, the eyeball, if it needs to be trimmed, around stone lawns and fences and stones, you know, the cemetery stones or markers.
What says that?
It says, yeah, the weekly.
It says lawn mowing and trimming around headstones, monument fences, stone walls, cemetery trees, small plants and bushes located underground.
Should we put the fire pond in there? Do that one beer or something?
That might be a separate project.
Lawnmowers.
So it's, okay, you want to finish up on the parks first before we go to some.
We can discuss it all and then make two separate motions.
I would just,
Yeah.
I'd just make one motion and talk about both things, because it's really. And that,
So on the cemetery one, I changed again the due date to March 3rd. And I kept, within the scope of work, I kept that first line that Joe just read the same. But then everything after that is changed. So cemetery mowing shall be done satisfactorily, especially in preparation for Memorial Day and any burials. The cemetery agent will be responsible for notifying the awarded contractor of upcoming burials in a timely fashion. Holtonville Cemetery and the village cemetery specifically must be in excellent condition for Memorial Day celebrations. And then Holtonville Cemetery shall be mowed and trimmed weekly from April first to July first, weather permitting. After July first, maintenance shall be done as needed, but no more than bi-weekly. Or should that be no less than bi-weekly, weather permitting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
But-
Oh, go ahead.
We can't talk about the cemetery agent. Did anybody talk to him if he's willing to do this?
Yep, Kim has had a conversation.
She did, okay.
And he said he's willing to call whoever he.
So he's willing to monitor the cemetery if there's a problem with
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
And when there's a burial, he'll let them know and all,
Yeah.
okay, good.
And then-
I hope he does it. I asked him 3 times to do that fence up the Holtonville. You know, the split rail fence is busted. I mean, it's good weather and everything else. He said, yeah, I'll go over to WW and get the stuff. Never did it. There was plenty of time in the fall to do it. So,
should we follow up with him about that? Is
I
that
would.
something he can do throughout the winter?
Yeah,
should we know?
I do it now.
Yeah.
Do you want me to follow up with him?
I would.
I would.
Yeah, because John and I were up there in the fall and it looked kind of crappy to have some rails down or some missing and
And this is the Holtonville Cemetery?
the whole some kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And we never did do the fence there, which that's another issue. We need to talk about that at a later date, but
In the original request for proposals, we had Stiles Brook Cemetery mowed twice in the 6-month period. I changed that to once, but we can talk about that. Is once not enough? Is twice? Sufficient.
It's just moss and fern, right?
I've never been there,
You've
so
never been there, I've been there once.
John's been.
I've been there a long, long time.
Yeah, they used to just do it once, and I don't know. I thought I'd go up twice, he got twice,
I believe he went twice, not sure, he did it by himself.
I think he did, I think he told me he did, but.
We probably didn't even need it, but.
I don't think there's much grass up there.
It's all moss.
You have to go through the window to get to it. That's all
I know he went there twice, I don't know if he did anything full time.
Do they still do burials there? There's no room, right? It's just,
I think it's super small, isn't it a small cemetery?
Yeah, very.
I don't think it's built, isn't it? I mean, I don't think it's.
No, I didn't know, it open spot, you know,
Yeah.
it's an old cemetery, dates back long ways.
It used to be okay when Stiles Brook went up there, but then the bridge got washed out in one of the floods and that was the end of that.
Going in the other way now is not, you can't do
Yeah,
it.
it's getting harder and harder.
As you used to, either.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at once unless we think it should be twice.
I think once is good.
And then the last 2 things was, should be a lump sum cost, which includes spring and fall cleanup. And then I just, so everybody knows which cemeteries we're talking about, I just listed them out.
Right.
One thing I think we should talk about is this frequency on Holtonville Cemetery mowing. Is everybody happy with weekly from April to July and then after July, bi-weekly?
I think so. I am.
did you put in after bi-weekly or as needed? No.
Payment shall be done as needed, but no less than bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we really care, as long as they meet the scope of the work. How many times they do it?
well, if you have Austin, he should be checking on a regular basis after they've done their work, make sure it's okay.
Well, they don't buy it for a few times, so. But I think we should limit it to bi-weekly, and they're up there mowing, and they're mowing dirt, I mean, that's not more ridiculous.
We had just talked about a weekly schedule at the last meeting, so I stuck it in there, but I
Could it then, are you thinking after July 1 maintenance shall be done as needed? Just leave it with that, without saying bi-weekly?
so take out.
I don't know, I don't have a, I think John is suggesting that sometimes maybe it'd be too much to do it. Insist upon going twice.
Well, that's just, it's a lump sum.
Right, so but it does say,
Why do you care when they're mowing, as long as you keep it up to the specifications that you had there? You don't need to limit it on, just because it's July and it's hot weather, you don't have enough when the. Well,
maybe it should just say,
Should it say just as needed for all cemeteries?
A lot, this depends on the weather too, if you get a lot of rain and then you get the dry spell.
Well, there's something, I mean, you take
Just-
Middletown, there isn't a blade of grass up there. It's just moss and weeds.
But it doesn't need to be mowed, it's just we wet a little bit.
And Cobb's, there's really not much up there either.
I visited them all last Memorial Day, I was just to work. Just for something to do.
sounds like a good idea, I think I need to do it. Well. We're coming around in the circle here.
I wrote, all cemeteries must be maintained throughout the 6-month period as needed, weather permitting.
The one that really is an issue is his home bill, because that's the one where, I mean, there's very few burials in any of the other cemeteries. Home bills is where you go. And that's the one that has the most grass.
So if we don't stipulate, we just have to assume that the contractor is gonna do it as needed and they need to do it as it's needed.
Yeah, I think you can change April 1st to July 1st as needed too,
Well, that's what we, you
the
know.
whole thing,
So the whole thing should just
as
be
needed.
as needed. So on the screen, I don't know if everybody can see that, but I did, I'll take this out. And I just. So say we'll take that out, and then all cemeteries must be maintained throughout the 6-month period as needed, weather permitting,
Right.
and that covers it.
I think that's all you need.
Didn't Kim say at the last meeting that April is an important date for the Houghtonville Cemetery because burials had been backed up? And they started as soon as they could in April, and she wanted to make sure the cemetery was maintained at that point. I recall her saying that, but I could be wrong.
No, she was concerned about it, but,
It was.
Yeah.
yeah, she was concerned about the not being ready for April 1st.
Oh,
So,
We'll just get a 3-foot snowstorm.
I think it would be good to, is where you changed it, which is all cemeteries must be maintained throughout the 6-month period. I would put something about Hortonville.
Particular care.
Yeah, Hortonville needs particular care, starting, April 1st, or when the grass grows, whenever that's gonna be.
When we say particular care, what would that mean?
I don't know, maybe you should say it's gotta be mowed weekly until Memorial Day or something like that.
Holdenville Cemetery needs to be mowed weekly all year.
Hmm?
I said Holdenville needs to be mowed weekly all year.
Oh, it does.
It grows very.
Yeah, Mobile needs to be, it really needs to be mowed once a year weekly, unless it's really, really dry summer.
I think there's only maybe 2 weeks out of last year that it didn't get mowed.
It was dry last year, yeah, so.
That field grows like crazy.
It was a problem.
Swamp, it finds
So
that.
we got
That field.
springs, yeah.
Well, then, we should leave that Houghton Bill. Take the, at least someone doing the math, but then know that
If you're concerned about it being ready by April first, then you're gonna have to add to the number of months that you're doing maintenance. Because you're gonna have to be up there in March. If you're ready for April first,
Their contract doesn't start until April
you don't
1st.
start till
Yeah,
April.
no, one, start April first,
Yeah,
but you might not be able to know it before you get snow up
but if you do,
It'll be bought more in mud.
there. Yes,
And just to, it's very important that they contact the contractor when there is a burial. From a person that has done it in the past, they only contact us a couple times about certain burials. Which we keep it mowed and maintained anyways, but we like to make sure that it's done just beforehand, so it looks really nice.
Hmm.
And we were only notified a couple times. On certain
and
ones.
were there other times that
There was other
the various.
burials that we didn't know about, but we do like to just,
well, hopefully the cemetery agent now is gonna let you know that,
right, which would be great.
which will give you the heads up, so you know there's a burial coming up on Sunday or whatever the day is.
The schedule already,
You should have the schedule.
share the schedule.
I just think needs to put something about the Houghtonville Cemetery in there that need to get ready earlier, or I don't know what kind of language is in there, because that's the only one.
Maybe it should be a priority.
Yeah. Because nobody's being buried in Cobb's, Stylebrook, Houghtonville, is it one?
What about Burgess?
Burgess? There's no lots left there. And even the lots that are left, they're in contention, nobody really knows if they're really a lot or not. So,
Is Debo,
that's true, I mean, it's reality, but,
is Debo finished?
Debo was supposed to do something
survey?
with that, remember?
He did the
was gonna
survey.
check that?
He did the survey.
Debo, he was gonna take,
Hi, I'm in a meeting.
see how many lots were available.
yeah, and then he's gonna plot it out.
Finish that.
He did. Kim has it.
Oh, he does, oh, okay, so we know that, all right, good. But that's really, Hopeville's the only really one, I mean, I guess there can be a burial up in Middletown, and we has been a couple of weeks, but not very often. And even, it didn't make a difference anyway, because there's nothing to mow there.
Okay, so I have another revision. I wrote, Houghtonville Cemetery shall be a priority for maintenance, mowing and trimming shall be done weekly, weather permitting.
Yeah.
I think that covers.
I think that's better.
Cool.
Okay, well, so, if everybody's happy now, somebody make a motion to accept the revised bid for the cemetery for the park for the camp.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, next order of business is the greater bid. We have, we did some checking. Assuming that we're gonna accept it. We did some checking with the cash. And that is that, we can finance the machines. And then we can finance it for just a year, and we can finance it longer. So that we don't have the funds available and can pay for the machine now anyway. And that would give us an opportunity to, get the machine if we want to do that. And then after the first year, pay it off. It's possibly a $300 penalty charge, but that could be waived. And then the other thing that I talked to Ken about was that, in the event that after a year, we had a flood, or we had some disaster in town, we need the money, we could also extend it for another year. We wouldn't have to come up with whatever the balance would be. So it'd give you like a little insurance policy, assuming you wanted to do the cat and you wanted to do that. So,
But you can lease it outright for 7 or 8, 9 years.
yeah, you could also lease it too for that.
And the increase is around $60,000 or
Right.
$8,000 a year, depending what you.
If you lease it, that's the lease.
Yeah.
And then eventually you buy it out of the lease, I'm assuming.
I think that's one option is to lease the machine for 10 years or 9, and it really doesn't make too much difference. But I'd like to see added to that we extend the life of the machine from 15 to 20 years. We're just not putting that amount of hours, we're like 5,000, and if you go to 20, you're gonna have 7,000 hours. Years ago, you used to use the grader more because you had more snow. And we used it for winging and plowing and stuff, but now you don't, and so winter time is not used a lot, except for if we have a horrendous mud season, then it's used a lot more.
Well, years ago, the only machine that you could wing was the grader. The trucks didn't have one.
But if after 10 years you see that is not working, extending it out to 20, change it. I mean, it's really simple.
But has everybody looked at the bids? And what do you think about, because really the only two machines that you really should look at is the Caterpillar and the John Deere.
It was 2 Caterpillars.
The Caterpillar 140, the 120 isn't. It's not
Yeah,
in
you
the
have to look at the
bracket or
one.
What's
horsepower.
wrong with the 120?
It's not in the weight bracket or the horsepower bracket. Well, it does, I guess, qualify for weight. Horsepower, it does not qualify for the bracket that we had spec'd out.
So you have to go with the most expensive one.
And you wanna keep the longer lease part, you don't wanna
Yeah.
reduce that.
Yeah.
So if we're looking apples to apples,
The Cat 140.
the
and
cat
John
140,
Deere
we should
620.
discard the 120.
Yep.
Okay. That's bid number 1. Bid number 1 is not the right one. Okay.
I have another option. And that being, why don't we keep the grader we got for another 5 years? And, you go on the internet, you look at that type of grader. Everywhere is $160,000, $170,000. We're getting allowed 95 or 85, whichever it is for it. So if we kept it another 5 years, and then after that 5 years, sell it outright, I'm pretty sure we'd get to 95,000 then.
Or get 20,000 for it, for trade-in.
Yeah.
I mean.
So,
Why couldn't we try to sell the machine privately anyway? You have almost a whole year to do
They've got to July 1st.
it. Okay. But the great season is coming up. Then,
Problem is if you post it now and someone's gonna wanna buy, if they do wanna buy it, they're gonna want it now. They're not gonna wanna wait 6 months for the thing. That's
well,
what
you don't know that.
I guess you could put.
Well, if I was a contractor, I wanted to buy a piece of equipment, I wouldn't let someone else run it for 6 months, I'll tell you that.
But you can put in the bid available July 1st.
Yeah.
So then you'd have to
I mean,
update your,
It's
because
too
you got
bad.
more miles on it and more hours on it. by
Well,
July
it just,
1st.
they, I don't think if something happened to it, then they'd.
Right,
technically.
right, no, I hear you, yeah,
Yeah.
just so it's the condition of as of July 1st,
Yeah.
not as of February.
You've got a nice machine there. 5,000 hours is not a lot of hours. And, Athens just bought one, I think it's a year older, and they paid 160,000 for it.
It's a good point.
But what if it breaks down? Is it under warranty?
There's no warranty on it. Change,
No, but you gotta remember, you're not gonna get the machine for a while anyway, so if it breaks down, it breaks down, you're gonna have to repair it, whether you trade it in or not.
it was 6 months and 5 years is a big difference.
No, I'm talking about if if you ran, you're gonna have to run the grader another 5 months anyway. So if you have a major repair, whether you wanna do it or not, you're gonna have to repair it. So that doesn't make any difference, but
Do
you
you
could
have-
advertise the
Do
machine
you have what it
available
cost to
July
fix
first.
that chain last year?
I don't.
It's some Cam must have it, I mean, it Jerry plays one chain in it, I mean, you got four. Supposed to have 3 more other chains in it to replace. Transmission, I mean, it's up to you guys, what you guys would do, but all of a sudden, next year, if transmission goes in the thing, then you're gonna be saying, God, I just like bought the thing in the first place. So,
But so, the other thing is, you could take that to CAT, and they have a program that they go right straight through that and come up with what really needs to be changed or, you know, on the thing. And at an X amount of dollars, and it's gonna be a whole heck of a lot less than $300,000. I mean, that's just an option, and you put away $2,000-3,000 a year for maintenance for the next 5 years. So if something comes up, we've got,
Yeah, that chain was $6,000 long, isn't it?
well,
yeah,
I don't know if you
You
can take
just
that.
bought tires too,
just bought, well, those be half worn out, but.
I don't know if you can take out the capital budget for repairs or not.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can. I don't think I'm not sure I'm in favor of keeping the old one another 5 years. But I think I would be in favor, if you wanted to buy the machine, to try to sell it privately. For more money, even if you got $130,000, that's far more than you're gonna get from them for 95.
Don't they have something to?
It's a Vermont town,
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
Yeah, there's like a Vermont local roads program where we can.
We can put that in there, just,
I'm sure there are these small towns up north. That believe me, they can't afford to buy a grader for $300,000-400,000.
did you say probably, Townsend, Westminster and, Bells Falls, they went to John Deere.
Because they didn't want
And why
to,
they went is because of price.
Yeah.
That was the only reason.
I personally don't think, you can look at John Deere, if you guys wanna go look at it yourselves, but I don't think it's a half as well put together machine as the CAT is. There's a,
No, I agree with you.
and in this case, there's a reason why we're gonna be paying an extra $30,000 for it, I mean, it's 10 times the machine. But.
Yeah, I guess
I
that's
think we ought to
my question.
extend the life of the machine from 15 to 20.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
yeah, you're not putting the hours in it.
And then you're putting away less in the capital budget each year, and as I say, you can take a look at it, 5 years, 10 years, and it's not working, change it.
Well, you could also go, after 10 years, you could send it back to CAT.
The other thing is, if you're gonna lease this, say you use 10 years, the end of 10 years, you own that grader,
That's right.
and you should be able to keep that grader for at least another 5 years or 10 years, and at no cost whatsoever, except for maintenance.
There was a question about, like, the difference between the CAT and the John Deere. Why is the CAT the more favorable one?
the CAT, well, it's in my whole thing, if you read it.
Why, for the meeting, can you just
Oh.
summarize what that?
How does the cat you wanna buy compare to the one you got?
The cab, so cab is the same style cab, it's got almost 100 horsepower more than the one we have. Which is every year they get more horsepower as they go anyway. It's the same motorboard, and everything's all the same features except for they fixed. Like some of the stuff with the turntables and stuff like that, some of that stuff's different. But the main thing with between the John Deere and the CAT is the John Deere's got a steering wheel in it, and none of us use steering wheels. And it's in your way, you gotta look through the thing to see what you're doing, and the John Deere is a square cab, so it's got 4 posts in the front, 2 posts in front of you, you gotta look through. The CAT is a triangle cab, and so you're not, the only thing in front of you is the nose of the grader. I mean, everything is visible underneath it.
Tell me, Corey, when you, the new grader will have an entirely different emission system,
Yeah, well, same mission system as like the other stuff we have, yeah.
so. How much more expensive is that to maintain than what you have now?
Just depth fluid is all I do to it. There's no, it does its own burn offs. it does, just like all the dump trucks.
Yeah.
It burns its own emissions off on its own, so I don't have to do any of that stuff. And I have to put DEF fluid in it, but that's,
You see, but when they first come out, I know that they were talking like $10,000
to replace it.
yeah, and then.
Yeah.
But now.
I asked Jeff about that, I have not, he said they have had very minimal problems with them. I think a couple of the problems that they did have were like, sounded like someone did something to it themselves, like put diesel in the DEF tank or DEF in the fuel tank. But other than that, they really don't, the cat actually has less emissions on it than the John Deere does too.
But also the things that you have listed in here are probably at least $10,000.
Oh, easily, the minimum $10,000 for parts are actually
That
Dodge.
he has available that he can use.
They, all the cutting edges that I have at the shop, those will fit onto the new cat, they won't fit onto the John Deere. I have lots of brass shims and metal shims for the that we have to put in the blade every year, or sometimes a couple times a year to keep everything tight. I have those on hand, those are all the same to fit into that new one, I mean, I have a spare rim and tire, that rim will fit onto that machine and it won't fit onto the other one. So,
And the oldest dump truck you have, is that have DEF?
everything we have now.
Have you ever had a problem with it?
Nope. David's truck had it, we had that truck for 7 years and he never had an issue with it.
Never had that issue?
No.
Don't your newest tractor have it? Your newest tractor has it, don't it?
Yeah, like, I never had trouble with tractors, but not in my truck.
Biggest thing is to run it hot, it has to run hot. So like
Yeah.
our trucks, we run them hot, and all the equipment too, it's always ran at a high RPM. And so it keeps a steady burnout, the idling is the worst thing for them. The idle, it builds stuff into the filters, and also, they say that like over at the gas station, you buy a little can of DEF fluid, that's the worst thing to do to it, they say you buy it in a drum, that's what I've been told, so. That's what we do, we buy it in a 55-gallon drum for us.
But it's the same, isn't it?
They say it is, but I guess I don't know if it crystallizes faster in a small drum or what, but,
Yeah, if you started to buy the little squares of.
oh,
we have
thousands of
You'd
them.
have to have a pallet load of the big
Yeah.
things, I mean.
We go through 55 gallons of it, probably every 3 weeks.
Yeah,
But everything we have besides the back on the excavator has it, and the Golden Grader right now.
How much is that?
The drum? I wanna say it's like $300, $400.
it's an added expense, there's no question
Yeah.
about it.
Do you spend that much every 3 weeks?
Well, you gotta think we have 3 dump trucks and.
But
a
for all your
loader,
machines, not just a grader.
it's everything.
It
goes
depends
to
on the
all
usage,
machines.
too.
55 gallons in between every machine we have. But the loader, I can go. I think we filled it up twice since we had it, we have almost 100 hours on the loader already, I mean, it's pretty good. It's like every 5 or 6 tanks of fuel you have to fill it out for our equipment.
I think the reasons you have here are valid. So if I asked you, what are your reasons why you want a new machine?
Well, maintenance wise, we got chains going in ours, and it's also scheduled, it's been scheduled to go too.
Well,
But
that's the capital budget had a schedule to go.
For next,
This is, yeah, 15 years, we had 15 years on the machine.
it actually was supposed to go, what was it, 2 years ago, it was scheduled to go, and they got put off for 2 years,
Right,
so, I mean. You got $600 chain, I just put there's 3 more of them, you got other transmission part, I mean, there's a lot of things that could go. Seriously wrong with the thing really fast, like look at the background, we've been fighting that thing for the last.
But it really costs us more than that because we rented one from Basin at $10,000.
right.
Yeah, that's true, I mean, we have an issue with ours, like with 2 springs ago. We spent all that money to rent one for during mud season, and we can't go without it. I need one here, so.
No, you can't.
so, so the options are stay with the schedule, buy the new grader. Or extend the life of our existing grader and worry about maintenance issues. And do you believe that buying this new grader now will likely preclude the maintenance issues
Oh,
down the road? And it was part of the schedule, that's the
Yeah.
argument for
But
it.
that's the reason
And
why.
Don, your argument though, when you were saying, keep the existing one for longer,
No.
was that a misunderstanding?
Sell
No, sell the existing, well,
Well,
certainly
just
sell
sell
the
one
existing.
now to
but
get
not
more
the
than
existing.
what they're asking.
It's just like the
85.
dump trucks though.
No,
I mean,
oh, I
there's a-
understand,
we had
I
to
thought
move
you were
them 5
suggesting
years.
that we'd keep I misunderstood you, I thought you were talking.
No, I think what John is saying is that find a new grader. Instead of a 15-year schedule, a 20-year schedule,
Okay,
and then either lease it or lease it. You know, for a month, or for a year or two, or permanently. And then maybe we can get more money by going to the Vermont,
right, selling,
sell it privately.
I
And
understand.
I don't know whether or not Cat is gonna honor that.
I don't know if that'll change anything, that's the only
Yeah.
thing, I don't know,
That was one option, and I give you a.
yeah, he might jack the price up on the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause.
I guess that's what I was asking, I thought there was another option.
Yeah, I give you a second option of keeping the existing grader.
Right.
Right. You did say that, okay,
Say
So-
it again, so that, cause just say it again, John, so we can all hear. Your option about keeping the current
Is to
rate.
keep the existing grader for another 5 years.
Right.
And, and then at the end of the 5 years. Sell that outright and you should be able to get what they are offering you now as a grader.
But selling it privately, whether you sell it now or you sell it 5 years from now, you still run into the same situation. You're gonna have to sell it subject to a certain date.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if you sold it now, you can get a lot more money than you would in 5 years from now.
But are they gonna give us the discounted price?
Well, I don't know, that's a
The
question.
dis-
you
I
have
think the
to-
discounted price is we get the discounted price anyway,
Okay.
I don't know, you had to ask him, wouldn't think the top number would change. If we private sold it and then just took the money that we got, and put it on top to it. I don't think that number would change, but
If we were to do a private sale right now, what would your estimate?
I'd post it for 150, 145.
so much more than this 95 that they would give us.
Well, you're not, like the start higher than,
No,
I
no.
think it's worth.
Do you
I mean,
think-
it's probably, and I probably think it's worth $130,000.
So you maybe this 95 is a little low.
It's a little low, yeah, but I mean, they're trying to make
Of
money off
course.
it,
Oh, yeah,
so.
yeah, I get it.
But yeah, I'd start at 150, 145,000 and see what happens.
You see, your budget, the year you're in, was for $3,000 and we spent $9,000. And there's $6,000 we spent on it.
In the greater.
Yeah, so that's sort of
So this, but this,
a negative.
The only thing I can tell you is some experience, when I was on the board years ago. We had a similar situation with a grader and they kept putting it off and putting it off. And we spent a lot of money, more money than we ever thought it was gonna be, because we had some major breakdowns. And we ended up biting the bullet and buying a new one. This is when Harry Wilbur was the road foreman at that point in time. I think it was a cat, so I don't think we ever had. I
Did
think
you have
we
to
had
rent
a
a grader?
Huh?
Did you have to rent one from another?
No, we just had to keep putting money in it, and then finally
We rented, I can't remember how long was that, I think 2 weeks we rented that one,
No,
Mason
month.
Brothers,
a
month?
month, I think it was a
Yeah.
month.
$10,000,
$10,000.
not cheap, but Mason didn't really wanna give it up, because they were trying to use it too.
Yeah, you're lucky that you
Yeah.
got on the rent.
Yeah,
Hardy is on Zoom.
yeah.
Hardy, I don't know if you can hear us, but I have a question for you. The grader is built into the capital budget and if I'm reading it correctly, it seems like $350,000 will be available fiscal year 26, 27. Is that correct?
Well, the way it is, if you look at the schedule, as of 6/30/2025, we would have $169,101 put aside for highway equipment. And that includes spending 30,000 on the trailer. If you don't spend 30,000 on the trailer, you would add that to the 169. So that would give you another 30,000. The next year, what you have in there projected for spending, this is 25-26, is 103,000, of which that was made up of buying a new truck number 3 for 60 grand, and truck number one lease for $43,609. And we have a proposal of 174. So if we spend the 103 plus get into 174, you'd have 239,492 by the end of 6/30/2026. I don't think you have enough money in the highway equipment fund to buy outright, probably the grader, unless you finance it over a couple of years. That's,
What about lease it, Hardy?
what's that?
Why don't we lease it?
Um,
Lease the grader.
you could lease it, but I would look at how much is that gonna cost you for 10 years if you're.
Better or finance it.
It's gonna cost us $60,000
Over an 8-year period.
over an 8-year period.
Money.
Is it, John, where are you getting them? Is that part of the cat bid? I didn't read it in their bid. Where are you getting the 60,000?
I
We asked them what it would cost to lease it,
US Catholic.
yeah, for an option.
Did
It's
the
not
other
in,
bidders have
it's not in
the
the bid, no.
So did the other bidders have an opportunity to bid on a lease?
Well, we're not, really, there's no bid on lease, they're all the same.
Depends how you wanna buy it, there's
It's
all.
just, we just figured out how to buy it, whether you buy it outright or you lease it.
Lease it or.
There's no,
Or finance, let's do.
there's no plus or minus either way, what you do.
Hmm.
If you let it out to bid, so we're the ones that are gonna determine whether we pay for it all or release it, not the cat company or the John Deere company.
Am I right there? Well, we can pay for it all, lease it or finance it, and then we own it at the end. Am I right? Like
Alright.
cars, or is it different?
Harry, I didn't hear you say anything
What's that?
about leasing it for 8 years.
Off the top of my head, I really don't know the answer to that because I haven't looked at it or even thought about it. But how much is it gonna cost you total for the machine plus leasing it? If it's gonna be 300,000, or what is it gonna be? Which one are you gonna buy, number one?
Well, the machine is 287, and then plus the 60 for the lease.
No,
No,
no.
it's
It's 312.
312.
312.
Like,
It's
I
312.
It's almost 313, John.
don't know what that
But
is.
that's with the
That's
trade.
the one.
That's with the
Oh, that's
trade-in,
the 120.
that's with the trade-in.
So it's 312 plus 60.
But with the
312
trade.
plus,
But that's with the that's with the
Hold
trade-in.
on, we need to have one person speak at once.
well, then you divide that over 10 years or whatever you're gonna propose to lease it, 8 to 10, whatever.
We can do 8, 9, or 10.
And what's the interest rate?
Huh?
What's the interest
We
rate?
don't know.
He was basing it on 5.49%.
Oh,
Yeah. It could go down, it could go up by the time you actually.
How much was the 10-year one?
How much is what?
A
The-
10-year lease.
If we were to lease for 10 years, the annual payment would be $40,000.
40,000, so,
So it'd be $400,000. With
or
interest.
40,000. $40,000.
Right, over
Over
10.
10 years, so.
I think you'd be better off borrowing the money if you need to buy it, pay for it right now. You got 169,000 plus if you don't buy the trailer, you've got almost $200,000. So this thing's gonna cost you what, 300? And next year you could get enough money and pay it off.
Are we gonna have enough for by next year?
Not quite. You would if you didn't buy the number 6, the number 3 truck. I think that was it.
Right.
You know, the pickup. If you let the pickup up for another year,
What would happen if we leased it for a year and then at the end of the year, we could pay it off then?
it's probably a better deal than waiting 10 years.
You could also do a 2-year and pay it off after 2
We go
years.
2 years,
Yeah,
1 or 2 years lease it.
And then Hardy, John did some research and it looks like the grader that we are trading in is being sold somewhere around $150,000, $160,000.
right.
We could go ahead and try to sell this grader privately. And instead of getting 95,000 on trade, maybe we could get 130, 140,000 for it, that would help.
Yes. Plus, right now, if the whole thing right now would cost you, if you had no trade-in, what, 300 something thousand?
312.90.
Well, that's good for you.
407.
Oh, I'm not, you talking about outright, or you mean with the,
He said with no trade-in.
oh, with no trade-in?
400.
407,000, yeah.
407.
So if you lease it for 2 years and you get 150,000 there and you pick up about almost 250,000 to 300, you know, in the capital plan, you're probably gonna pay for it in 2 years that way.
Yeah,
You know,
If
you'd
we
have to
get-
lay it out on a piece of paper, but makes sense. So you sign the lease and you lease it actually for 2 years at whatever that price is. And then at the end of that 2 years, you've sold your grader, you got 150,000 there, hopefully. And whatever else you got from your capital plan and pay it off.
right. If you sell it for 150.
I think, I don't know about 150,000, but I can tell you, you can sell it for a lot more than 95,000.
I'd start at 150.
I mean, seriously.
Just you never know, you might find someone
No, no, I
like
mean-
Athens.
No,
Sorry,
but I mean, if you advertise a thing for $95,000, you'd have, your phone will never stop ringing.
Does the spec call for the town having the option to sell the current grader privately rather than accepting a trade-in value for it? I mean, I think Steve asked this question,
Well, I think
would
it's
it
kind of,
change the,
it's kind of a given
would it
to that,
change
that we have a
the,
choice.
You have a choice.
the so-called discounted price?
I don't think I think the discounted price means because we're a municipality,
Well,
not.
I'm just wondering what the spec says.
Well, I think the select board has the ability to decide whether they wanna trade it in or they wanna sell it privately.
That's just,
Well, I'm just wondering what the
But
spec
if that was
says.
a change, yeah, they're gonna still
If it
sell it.
would make a
Well,
difference.
obviously, if they're gonna increase the price of the grader, if you're not gonna trade it in, then you have to take a different hard look at it, but we don't know that.
I'd find out.
I think somebody should call.
Yeah.
So I was doing some math here. I mean, if you got it for the 407,900. And you add what Hardy had said, the 200,000 plus another 30,000. And you deduct that from the 407. I'm coming up with. You have to owe $48,900.
I think when you said 200,000, was that
The
169?
199 and then the 160 if you sold it.
I heard 169.
And, well, the 199 was the 169, 100 plus the 30,000 that you had.
Okay, 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 oh,
Okay.
and the
So
trade.
it comes down to 359,000. Subtract that from 407 and you come up with, $48,900 you have to pay.
Okay.
So it makes sense if you want to sell it privately
yeah.
Well, I think it makes sense.
and not have a big.
But I agree, you probably need to find out what the price is gonna be of the grader if you don't trade it in, because I can see why the guy would think, hey, for 95,000, I'm gonna make money on that. I could probably sell it for 150, so
Yeah.
he may be taking that into his account when he's discounting the machine to you.
Yeah, I agree, Marty, and if he says to you, well, you know, you can't, it's not 407 anymore, it's 507, then you're gonna forget it.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're gonna do.
You ought to call Jeff, because
Yeah.
that's.
I called him today and left him a voicemail and he had still not got back to me, but I call him again tomorrow.
I mean, I think if that's the case, and the price doesn't change, I think Morgan gets on the phone with the state and find out how we can list this through
Kim knows, she goes on it every once in a while.
through the state, and then put that out there and see what happens.
Do you have it?
The bidding requirements in the original request, it says. It is the intent of the town of Grafton to trade its 2011 Caterpillar 120N. Therefore, the town is requesting bidders to bid on the new motor with a trade-in. then it goes down to say. The town of Grafton reserves the right to reject any and all bids. Or to accept the bid deemed to be in the best interest of the town of Grafton.
I don't think it restricts us to, they might charge you more money, but,
Yeah. I think we have to ask.
yeah.
So they really never, they're giving you a discounted price, so what's the price before the discounted?
I think, I'm honest, I think the discounted price is municipality, and every municipality gets that.
That's whatever it was, you get,
Yeah.
you get a discount for being.
I don't think he's actually taking money off of it and saying discounted price for just because we're chummy or something, but it's.
No,
Well,
but you don't have the original
Well,
price.
he's not gonna put that in there.
Well,
But
this
don't
one,
we have a right to know that?
well, this
If
one,
I'm buying a car, I wanna know
Well, the original,
how,
the price is 407,900, that's what you're gonna pay if you don't have. a
Yeah,
trailer.
that's the price, so
but it says discounted price unit.
to your point though, Kathy,
Yeah.
the CCR bid, which we're not talking about at all, does have a backup exhibit. That does show sticker price,
Yeah,
352, and then net 3049, whatever, which is
does
our.
it say how much they're taking off for the highway, the
It,
municipality?
it just, it just says a
Oh, I
few
see, it's
different
10%.
prices, and it doesn't, I don't know, if it says cash, or that's why, then it includes a trade. Then it includes tax exempt,
I wanna say we get 10% for municipality.
so I don't know why there's,
What's that one?
this is CCR.
That's the Sandy.
So
The
this-
same, it just, that one itemized the difference between
Yeah.
sticker and discount.
Yeah, so there was a difference.
This one doesn't, I don't know if John.
I can
did.
ask that, and I can ask, what, if it's gonna make a difference if we
yeah.
sell it privately,
Yeah, here's the same thing for the John Deere, the suggested list is 549.26. And they gave us 364, I don't know why the difference, I don't, it
Because
doesn't.
they're marked up.
Municipal discount
Or
apparently.
is it municipal, or is it because, it doesn't
It's
say,
a municipal discount,
it just says
everybody
selling
gets.
price.
so does Cat have one?
We just, I think it'd be wise to confirm. If it was an
Yeah.
find out it wasn't.
So how much was the difference on that?
The John Deere difference between the list and the, the list and the selling is way more. Almost, I mean, it's like 180,000 difference than the Sandy, the difference is about 50,000.
So what is the difference between the list price and
Our
they're gonna
price.
sell it to us for?
The John Deere, yeah,
Yeah.
it was 180,000 for the John Deere, but for the Sandy, it was only 50.
No, what is it,
Suggested,
if you
suggested
bought the
list
machine without
for
the,
the John Deere.
what was the total price if you bought the machine without the municipal discount?
It's, that's what I'm saying, 540,000.
540,000.
And then the John Deere selling price is 364, so they're not the same
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
discounts.
Sure,
One
they
is
give
a
it- sure
lot.
they give us a municipal discount?
Yeah, maybe not, maybe we get Cal cheaper.
Well, the way it was worded in the bid, it said that we were gonna trade it in, so.
If I think
I'm concerned about.
we have to
Yeah, I
double
have a
check that.
feeling we're gonna
So
get
we
told stuff.
can reject them all, it sounds like reject them all, or we accept what the.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be a uniform discount, like
Is it
you're,
seven
this is
pages
your,
in there?
Yeah,
all of them. That
It's-
just,
It says, that's,
So let's speculate, let's call the guy up and see what it is.
well, she's reading what it says.
Well, I
no,
mean,
but
if they don't, if they tell you this is the price, but this is how it's supposed to be, then you know what it is.
Oh, I can answer that part, but she's saying that the selling it privately thing, it
that's,
says
That's
it
what I
in the
mean.
bid, that we can't, that it's a trading.
Yeah, then you stop.
it says, it is the intent of the town of Grafton to trade.
Great.
Therefore, the town is requesting bidders to bid on
We don't intend.
a new one with a trade-in.
So you turn around and say, okay,
we changed it.
you changed your mind, what is the bid gonna
We
be?
can't just change your mind, this is, we had the same problem with the box
No, I
culvert,
think
you
you
can't
can.
just change your mind on the things you wanna change your mind on.
No, I disagree.
No, I think you can.
I think you can. If you show interest that you wanna buy this, the town of Grafton wants to buy the Cat 140, okay? But we don't have enough money right now, we don't wanna extend our to do lease or, other monies, we wanna sell it outright and put that towards your new cat. What's the price?
We don't
I'm
want,
gonna ask tomorrow, but
right, yeah.
that's not, I can't tell
Yeah,
you,
what's the price?
I'm just saying that it says in the spec
Says
that
that
we're going to trade the machine in.
you're gonna rebid it. you're
If
gonna
that's
take-
what I'm saying, yes, you have to redo the whole process if that's the way you wanna do it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
I'm just trying to be a Yankee here and just say, hey, look, this is what we want.
But we just had this problem with the last meeting,
I do-
Lockport got these big
I think
arguments.
If you're gonna do that, then you're gonna go back.
I
to
do
the
think
other
it's
two.
it's slightly different than the last. meeting.
You can't do that.
Well, it is, but I'm saying, if we do that with them, I have to do that with all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're gonna look at me and say, well, we just spent a week on this, what the hell are you making me do it for
I
again?
don't think,
As long as you don't want the other ones, this is the one you want.
well,
I know, but it doesn't matter, you have to send it to
Right.
them all.
and then what do you do if they say, well, I'm sorry, you just wasted our time, we don't wanna bid on it, fine, so be it.
Then
But,
we're stuck.
well, no, hopefully not, but
I think what we need to do is ask Colby to see
Is
if there's a different.
I'll find that out tomorrow.
is this discounted price contingent on us trading in the cat?
Yeah, that's how I would.
That's the way, and
That's how
then
I
they
would-
say, yes or no, that was a price, and if you wanna not trade in your cat, your old one, it's still the same, they can say that or
Yeah.
not, maybe I'm.
I can't, you can't.
I'm saying.
It's how hard they wanna sell it.
It's good.
I'll find that out tomorrow. What was the other thing?
And I will look into if, based on the specs that we sent out, if the town of Grafton has the ability to not do a trade-in, but do a private sale
Without redoing it.
without rebidding it. I'll look into it.
Have we ever had a private sale on any, what do we, like,
I thought, I know.
Yeah, but now with Facebook and all, like marketplace.
The problem with us buying something off Facebook is we gotta make them jump through hoops when they could just get cash from somebody else most of the time.
I don't
No, I'm
know if
just
we've
curious.
sold, I don't know if we've sold.
Cause I don't ever remember in all my years on the board ever selling anything privately. I mean, maybe a snowplow or something like that, but I don't
Yeah.
know, truck. It's always been on trade.
I don't know the answer. Well, it sounds like we have our homework and we'll come back next
Can
week.
take me 5 minutes
Yeah.
in mine.
Well, you'll know pretty quick. I mean, they'll tell you yes or no.
Morgan, would you read that, the question that Colby's gonna ask, are you deciding that the Caterpillar 140 is the, bidder that Colby will ask this question on?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is the question?
Is there a different unit price aside from the listed discounted unit price? Is there like a sticker price?
Well, or, no, you're asking, I think you're asking, that, maybe you could ask that as well, but does the discounted unit price,
Allow.
change if you don't go with the trade? Does it,
Dependent on her.
is it dependent upon the
Is the
trade?
discounted price dependent on the
On the
town
trade.
trading in the trade?
Yes, and if so, then what if we don't trade, what
What
would
is
be
it, what is
that
the new price?
price? What is the new price? If no, thanks, just checking, gotta go.
I heard from all of them. Yeah,
You don't got them on speed dial?
no, they have me on speed dial, I'm pretty sure, they call
See,
nonstop.
they're eager to sell.
Yeah, everything, that's the worst part about working here.
So that's your
Damn salesman,
There's your
caveat right there.
call you nonstop.
That's your
Well, if
limit.
that's the case, why would it hurt to just ask that question?
Oh, I'm gonna ask.
Okay.
But it's just they call and ask questions all the time.
Yeah,
Let's say, I've got a question for you this.
Yeah.
Do we have any other business?
So, wait a minute.
I have one.
Sorry.
So are we gonna have another meeting before next Monday, or are we gonna go hash this out at the regular town meeting for 2 hours? Or should we have this decided before the meeting?
What are you
See how we
talking
went
about?
into quite a.
Well, if you let us sell it
lengthy
privately, maybe we can make it
Yeah.
right now.
Could we make a motion to move forward if the answer is favorable to this conversation or to? If he lets us sell it privately or something, is that what we want, without having to? I don't know.
What's the harm in having another 30 to 45 minute discussion
isn't.
in our next select board meeting? Because I think all of these bidders are expecting that at February 3rd's meeting, we'll have a decision.
No, he's talking about before that meeting.
I know, but I'm saying, why do we need to have another one?
Oh,
or
how long
are
this
we
one
all on the
lasted?
same board?
I'm on John's side here, I
I
mean.
think we only have that one question, the answer, and then you guys pretty much know.
Yeah, it's one question.
So you want another meeting before our?
I don't want nothing, I just want a grader.
If you have,
But,
it might be,
yeah, sure, I don't know what you want me to
it
say.
might be advantageous to have a meeting later on this week and let Hardy take a look at some of the numbers.
We could just- we could run the-
Yeah, after we find out, and see what, you know, how,
Well, to your point, but we find out if, first of all, if it,
yeah,
we
obviously,
can't sell
if
it.
you- then there's no sense having a meeting.
Right, but if there is, then we can also figure out the lease rate depending upon this new number, what the number is really gonna be. What our interest rates, you know, what it really is gonna look like, is that something we should do before?
So he finds out that we can't do this. We've already decided what we're gonna do then?
Well, so assuming we can do this, sell it privately, I don't know what happens.
But he comes back, he calls tomorrow and finds out that we can't do this. So have we decided what we're gonna do then?
No, I don't think we need to decide until the February 3rd meeting.
Well, I don't know about that,
Why?
because, well, you can wait till then, but I'm not gonna sit in a meeting for an hour and go over this again, when we could spend 15, 20 minutes at a special meeting, and this is what we're gonna do. Unless you wanna do that now, that you're gonna buy some cat
I got
140, or lease it for two months and decide that right now. And then he comes back, says you can't do it, then you're all right.
Well, you don't have to decide about the lease, you have to decide about buying it, because what's the difference if you pay outright or you lease it, doesn't really make much difference. What you need approval is to buy the machine. And the motion could say to buy the cat machine, subject to either, full payment or lease.
And the
That's a
private
good-
sale of the
Yeah, that's a
system.
discretion of the
You
board.
can't, you have enough of money to pay it full.
Okay, well, but you can vote the motion so that you have an option if you wanna lease it for 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, or whatever you wanna do with it.
If Colby comes back with the bad news that in fact, no, this pricing was contingent on us trading in with them, then will we need I would go with the 15-minute pre-meeting versus hashing it out.
I think the motion should, if you wanna go forward with this thing, the motion should be buying the machine. What, if you wanna do the cat or the John Deere, whatever you wanna buy. And that either financing it or a cash payout, so that you have an option. So that the board then can decide whether they wanna lease it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, or whatever. And that gives you the options.
But what about if we can't sell
No, I'm talking about,
after
this is subject to code,
this call? Okay,
not subject to code. If they tell you you can't do it, well, then you bought the machine and then you're done. Unless you don't wanna buy a machine, that's another story. But
That might be option 3. Don't buy it.
So we're trying to find.
I'm not in favor of that, I think you're asking the trouble. You got a machine that's working, has a value to it, and I would make the switch. And then on the new machine, then go on to do on a 20-year payout instead of a 15-year payout. That would be my feeling.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It makes sense.
yeah.
But I certainly would want to sell it for privately, if you can. If you can't, you can't.
Joe, Susie,
I have a question, John, what do you mean by, what are we, I think you said something like, what are we gonna decide to do? Are you talking about a motion about what equipment we're gonna decide to buy?
How?
Do it now? Are you suggesting that or at a later meeting this week?
Well, the purpose of the meeting that we have right now is to get rid of 2 hours of conversation at a regular meeting. And the board is better informed of what's going on. And that's why, if the contract says that we are to trade it, I think that's what you gotta do, you're gonna trade it. Then the other thing is, you gotta find out, can you sell it outright? And if is there a change to the price at that point? But if you don't have those questions answered before the meeting next Monday, you're gonna get into a conversation for another half hour when we could just decide it in 10 or 15 minutes.
That's why I said make a motion subject to.
But that subject to is, the motion is that you will purchase the 140
Right.
With us, privately.
it by either direct payment or lease
Right,
for, and the lifetime would be 20 years.
yeah, right, that's how I would see the motion.
And we'll do it regardless, is your motion regardless
No,
of whether we can trade or not?
Subject to, is
Subject to.
You are selling it privately.
if they tell you that it's still, whether you sell the machine privately or you trade it in, the base price doesn't change.
Oh,
400.
okay, subject to that, okay.
400 something thousand.
Still confused with it. Contract says that it has to be traded. We're spinning our wheels.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if he says.
My question don't mean nothing until hers gets answered, really.
And I think we have the answer, I mean, all
Yeah.
of all of these bids are based on the
Trade.
town trading in
Trading.
equipment. So whether I send this to our attorney to confirm that or not, I mean, that's what it reads.
I don't think you need to send it to the attorney, it's pretty clear, and if the attorney sees some wiggle room in that, that doesn't mean our bidders see any wiggle room in that.
I think the next time we go trade piece of equipment in, we just change it so it says
Yeah.
we can do either or.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
I would also.
I would start, unless you wanna rewrite all of the bids this time, but.
No.
So you don't think it's even worth the
Thanks,
phone
I don't
call?
want to.
I think it'll hurt to make.
I don't think it would hurt to make the call the guy and say, hey.
No, I'll still ask him, but I mean,
You just have to really say
Yeah,
the
I'll bring
question
$50
exactly the way, and I would not ask him for another price over the phone.
no,
I would say the simple question, is your discounted price dependent on the town trading in the greater? And if he says, yes, that's what was in the bid, done.
yeah.
I mean, if that's how he saw it, that's how chances are the other bidder saw it, and we have to live with that.
Right,
Maybe
Well,
in
we
the
need to
next
know.
bid, we can say the town will have the option to privately sell if we're not happy with the trade-in value.
but wouldn't it be nice if he said the other answer,
Yeah.
which is,
The,
No,
the
it's
thing
not
that
contingent.
I would say as a member of the public who is very interested in these bids, that A, the select board has taken a huge step forward with this meeting being so well prepared for this greater bid discussion. And I think in and of itself, that will save time in the regular meeting. And I would also say that I think we have as public expectation that this decision will be made in the February 3rd meeting. This meeting was presented to us as a time for you to study and get prepared for the February 3rd meeting, not a decision-making meeting. That's why I think nobody's here.
I agree with that.
Yeah, my purpose was not to save time at the meeting, but to have us more informed
Yes,
of what we're doing.
Well, the only way you really know what everything means on that is if you run them. There's a lot of things on, I didn't even know a lot of the things on those lists until I started running the thing, so. I mean, it's. A lot to it.
Given that, I don't know if we can make a motion that says we're going to purchase the 140 by either direct payment or lease for 20 years, subject to if the town can privately sell. I think to Suzanne's point. Everybody's under the assumption that we will make a motion to purchase at the February 3rd. If we need a interim meeting between now and then, I think that's perfectly fine. But
It's fine by me.
Let's wait and see until we get full missing.
Yeah.
So let's wait and see what happens tomorrow, or the next day, whenever you can get the. and then we'll-
I'll bug him tomorrow, I'll call till he answers. He should, he normally gets back to me pretty good, so.
Awesome.
So the only money that Carly was talking about was, well, $199.
He'll get back to you for his phone call, because he thinks he's gonna buy it.
Oh, yeah, right now, this
He'll be
week
back quick.
coming, he's gonna be
He'll
answering.
be answering the phone, trust me. All right, do we have any other business?
Did you get any more bids on your trailer repair?
I call, he's still working on it, he says, I'm gonna bring it somewhere else.
It's been a whole week.
I know, I'm gonna bring it somewhere else and, see if I can get another price.
That Jim Austin, will he do it?
I don't know, I'll call him, we can call him and see if he will. I know, Catamount does it, so is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just see if he's,
Yeah.
if I have to bring it down this week, I'll bring it down and we can look at it.
Over to Scott Carroll or something?
Yeah, I asked Carol, he said he didn't want him. So. I think we're kinda getting down on options.
No.
Any other?
So that was about the insurance thing too, right?
Does he have it?
I don't know.
Oh.
They gotta have insurance, so.
The workman's comp part.
We're talking about Chris Carroll?
Yeah, Chris Carroll.
Yeah, I asked him, and he said he didn't even let me get it finished the sentence, he said, hell no, so, we don't have to worry about it, he doesn't wanna do big projects like that anymore, I guess.
What about, Jesse?
Jesse Belcher? I can ask him, but I feel like that's gonna be
He's gotta pay workers' comp.
yeah, he's gonna have workers' comp. So I mean, I doubt Jesse does, but I can ask just to make sure.
But does he need workers' comp if he works on the trailer at his own place?
Yes.
Yeah,
Still, huh?
like to save him on.
Any other business? Public comment? Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Alright.
Opposed? The next meeting is Monday, the 3rd.
With the two.
Unless we have another meeting in between, but I doubt that.
Oh, when's the BCA?
Oh, I doubt